did we come this far just to come this far? Like, this is it, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden I hear him very, clearly and subtly in my head and say, listen, if you never got the job, would you be praising me for the stuff that you would get from me? Or would you be praising me and worship me just because I'm God? I had never been posed that question before. And 70 pounds, 70 in 30 days. That's like mind blowing. It's like, what did you just say? Right. But I also did it through the holidays.
Wow.
I had dropped this weight and the inflammation was gone. I actually felt like I could actually catch up to it. Now, the only thing was I started running so fast, I had to ask myself a question, like, how am I running this fast? Because I wasn't used to being that light. I had so much clarity. I had so much understanding. I was getting downloads that I had never had before.
This episode of the Good Living Now podcast is sponsored by our friends at Joy Mode. Now, after going through prostate cancer, I experienced erectile dysfunction, and I wanted a more natural way to support healthy circulations. Now, one of the things that has worked for me is Joy Mode, which gave me confidence during those intimate moments. Now, some users report that Joy Mode may even support healthy blood pressure trends. Now, if you'd like to learn more, visit tryjoymode.com and use my affiliate code Harold20 at checkout to save 20%.
Welcome to the Good Living Now podcast, where we talk to real people about a real change leading to real health. I'm your host, Harold LaFall, and today, my guest, he did something phenomenal, I think. Well, first of all, he's a retired strongman and the author of Fasting is a Superpower. And guess what? He lost 70 pounds in 1 month fasting. Well, we want to know all about it. Welcome to the show, Big Tommy Burns. Hey, Big Tommy, how you doing, man?
Man, super fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
Man, I had to have you on. First of all, when I heard about your story, and then I saw all the people that you are helping through fasting. But before we get into the conversation, I said you're a retired, strongman. I said strongman, retired strongman. What is a retired strongman? What is a strongman?
Absolutely. So a lot of people in this day and time, when I tell them about like strongman, they automatically say like power lifter, right? I think that's more synonymous, bodybuilder, more synonymous with strength sports. But you've probably been watching it like a lot of us. A strongman is when you see somebody lifting up boulders and logs and pulling planes and buses and stone stuff like that. So strongmen.
So you lifting cars and
Absolutely.
Now, how did you get into that?
Man, that's a great question. It's literally a childhood dream. So I was always the big kid, right? I was always the big kid, known as the fat kid when I was younger. And so I was always trying to exercise, but I was really strong. So I was always trying to exercise. And my father was my first model of strength. And he was, a guy that was kind of cut up and chiseled up. And I was like, man, I got to live up to this, And so I started working out with him when he did push-ups. I would do push-ups and, try to mimic the things that he did. And one day I was watching TV and watched World's Strongest Man TV show. And for hours, I sat and watched every single episode. And I said, when I grow up, I want to be that big. I want to be that strong. And I want to do that. And so I was 7 years old and it took me about 22 years to get there. So at 29, I started competing in strongman and did that for about a decade.
Wow. Man, what's like the biggest thing that you like lifted or pulled?
Man, 60,000 pound fire engine. So I did it for a charity event. So it's something that you would have in competition. But that was the largest that I had ever pulled because it was for a fundraiser. But 60,000 pounds for 50 feet, and I did it in about 10 seconds.
Wow. Man, that's impressive. That is impressive. So now let's get into this whole fasting thing.
Yeah, buddy.
So So you even wrote a book on fasting. So when did you get introduced to fasting? When did you start fasting, and what prompted it?
Absolutely. So my fasting journey, man, started out as a spiritual discipline and really seeking mental clarity and spiritual connection. And I was at a place where I had been in a relationship with God, man, for about a decade or so. And as long as I had been around, religious organizations, fasting wasn't something, it was something that was kind of mentioned as a practice, but not something that was really a discipline, right? Or consistent discipline. And I found myself at a place where I was at one of life low moments, one of those rock bottom moments. And I found myself reading and studying. And I picked up a book called The Understanding of the Purpose and Power of Prayer. And the very last chapter of that book was dedicated to fasting. And so it gave me a whole nother perspective on fasting. I said, man, I've never done this before. And so I wanted to try it. And I tried it out for one day. At that time, I was still a strength athlete. Tried it out for one day, make sure that I didn't die.
Right.
So when you're used to eating, 5, 6, 7, 8 meals a day, thousands upon thousands of calories to maintain muscle mass and things like that, it's important. So I didn't die. And and a couple of weeks later, I felt led to go on an indefinite fast. And I did about 13 days on that indefinite fast before I had another level of like breakthrough in life, man. And so one of those things was seeking out a job. I felt pretty down because I was also just come out of a relationship that, didn't end well because of where I was in life. And, it was just a transitional phase. And with the job thing, I've been putting in, I graduated college from Howard University, right? And this was in 2008, at the economic downturn of a lot of things, right? And so I was putting in dozens of applications and resumes, but nothing was happening. And here I am, hadn't played football and done all these great things. And now I'm struggling to find a job and struggling to pay bills and sleeping on, friends' couches and trying to get, make my way now. And it was rough. And so I was seeking my way out of that situation or trying to learn why I was there. And so I was at a situation where I was like praying, meditating, doing all these different things. And so I started fasting. I was on day number 12, and I kid you not, man, day number 12, I'm putting in some resumes at about 2:30 in the morning. And I started to have this big argument, if you will, with God, man, and started to say, man, listen, did we come this far just to come this far? Like, this is it, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden I hear him very, clearly and subtly in my head and say, listen, if you never got the job, would you be praising me for the stuff that you would get from me? Or would you be praising me and worship me just because I'm God? I had never been posed that question before. And after a couple of moments, I said, because you're God. So if I never gave you the stuff, would you still worship me? I said, okay. Wow. Waited a couple minutes. Okay. I will worship you because you're God.
Yeah.
And then this song comes on from Donnie McClurkin called I'll Trust You, right? And the tears started to stream and the little worship session started and meditation and things like that. And after that was done, man, I was on Craigslist, right? I'm looking up jobs on Craigslist and trying to find anything.
Yeah.
And a name popped up that I had not seen, a very unique name of a brother that I went to college with 4 years prior. I had not seen this guy in about 3 or 4 years. But his name popped up. He had posted a job listing on there. And I reached out to him to make sure that it was him. It was him. And in about 2 weeks, I was interviewing for a job, from a brother that I had not talked to in several years, right? And then before it goes on for the next level of the breakthrough. It was awesome.
Wow. And when we talk about fasting, there are different types of fast. So what kind of fast were you doing? Like when you did the first one day and then you did an extended fast. What kind of fast was it?
Yeah. So those were just water only fasts, right? So when you're just drinking water only. So no food, not consuming any food in that time. And I practice like I talk about 4 different types of fasts often, like coach people through 4 different types of fasts. One is intermittent fasting. That's the foundation baseline. Then there's like the liquid fast where you have your juices and your smoothies, more like a cleanse, right? And then you have water fasting, right? When you're not consuming any food. And then you have dry fasting when you are not consuming any food or drinking any water.
So you're just drinking straight up water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So about a gallon of water a day is what I condition myself to drink and what I coach people to do when they're going through their fasting process.
So during that time in 2008, you're looking for a job. God spoke to you. That was around, and when you made the connection with the person on Craigslist that you knew, what day into the fast were you on?
That was day 13. That was day 13. So I graduated in 2008, but now it had been a process of a few years. When I said I've been putting in resumes and applications, this was 2011.
Oh, gotcha.
Wow. So I'm doing little odd jobs, doing security work, played a little bit of like arena football and things like that. So, and football wasn't something that I was super, super passionate about at that time. So I was just really doing it to pretty much pay the bills. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was 2011 at this time, and that was on that indefinite fast. That was day number 13. And so day number 14 is when I broke the fast.
And so, we want to know, did you get the job?
Oh man, it was a done deal. Interview in 2 weeks. Day number 1 was 3 weeks later. Man. So this is what I know from that first experience. When most people talk about fasting or wanting to fast or have a desire to fast, they're looking for some level of breakthrough in their life, right? Whether it's physical breakthrough, mental and emotional breakthrough, or spiritual breakthrough. There's some level of breakthrough that we're looking for when we're going into fasting, right? And for me, it was all of those things all at the same time, right? And then the biological benefits, they came as a byproduct of following that intuition to, do the fast for my mental clarity and my spiritual connection. So of course, you have the weight loss because you're not consuming any food, no calories, right? And your body's burning off things. So of course the weight loss is there. But what I didn't expect to happen was for my body to feel as good as it did. So after years of training and years of working out and playing football, banging the body up, I didn't know that I had as much inflammation in my system as I did. Right. And so when I felt those things like leave out of my body, it was a whole nother level of understanding how the body works biologically. I remember one night I was doing a little odd job security. So I got off of work super late and I would catch the bus or catch a train to catch the bus to go home, like 2:00 in the morning. Right. And the train was running late one night. This is during the fast, during that first initial fast. And I was going to miss the bus. Now, if this situation normally happened before, I'd miss the bus, right? But because I had dropped this weight and the inflammation was gone, I actually felt like I could actually catch up to it. Now, the only thing was I started running so fast, I had to ask myself a question, like, how am I running this fast? Because I wasn't used to being that light.
Right.
Yeah. So the biological benefits start to come after that. And I start studying that on another level because my body just felt amazing.
Tell us about when you lost the 70 pounds in 1 month. That I've never heard that, that significant amount of weight loss in that shorter period of time. What happened?
Man, so this is now 7 years into the fasting experience, right? This is my fasting journey. I'm 7 years into fasting at least once a year, no matter what, on some level of fasting. And normally it was building myself up to ultimately that 30-day mark. And every year I fall a little bit short of it, but it would increase every year. So like the second year would be something like I would do like 18 days. And then I would do it like a 21 day, then a 23 day, right? And what I learned about my pattern with fasting is that anytime I'm getting ready to make a major decision in life or I feel a major shift happening in myself, I have to go into my fasting closet. Like I have to seek that connection. And it was 2018, and I was getting ready to propose to the woman that would become my wife. And I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that this was, and it wasn't like I was saying, okay, this is going to be the 30-day. It was just like, we're going to go. We're just going to go.
Yeah.
And now what made that beyond interesting, right? It's interesting to go for 30 days without eating any food, right?
Yeah.
It's also interesting to lose. If somebody said I lost 70 pounds in a year, you'd be like, man, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But 70 pounds, 70 in 30 days, that's like it. That's like mind blowing. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What did you just say? Right.
Right.
But I also did it through the holidays.
Wow.
So normally I would do the fast in the beginning of the year, like a lot of other people. But what happened was I started to notice that there was a trend. You know, there's so much kind of like noise, right? In the beginning of the year, everybody's talking about fasting or doing some level of. So I wanted to do something completely that was just me, and I wanted to do it before the year was up. Right. Because I was planning on this proposal, and I wanted to, of course I was sure, but I wanted to seek clarity from my source. And so starting December the 1st, I just went through all the way through December.
The holiday season, right in the middle where everybody's cooking and gathering.
Oh yeah, it was on. It was on. Everybody. And I love to cook too. So I was part of that cooking experience. And so it was it wasn't just sitting up in a room and, being a monk and it wasn't none of that.
Right.
Yeah. It was being a part of the whole experience.
How did you deal with cravings or was it, did you have cravings, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you get to a place like I call it the stages of fasting, right? So you get through the physical stuff. The first phase is all of the physical stuff that you go through, and they never go away. They just, when they come back and depending on how long you're going in your fast, they come back and kind of like echoes. But in the beginning, they're hard. They're going to let you know that they're there. Like the body wants you to break down and give it what it's used to having. So you go through physical detox in the beginning, right? So some people have, depending on how toxic the body is, you're going to have your mental fog. You're going to have some of your headaches, right? People call that being hangry, right? You're going to have those things. You're going to have your stomach growling and the grumblings, right? It's letting you know, listen, we're used to having this stuff at this time and you're not giving us what we need. Right. But then once you bring the body under subjection and say, no, that's not what we're doing right now, then you break through that level. The second level comes, it's the mental and emotional detox. And so now your being is going to start bringing up all of these things that either repressed down, maybe swept under the rug, or maybe you try to lock it into a closet and hope nobody brings it up. Right. And now all of a sudden, all of these things, because you're literally a fast, especially an extended fast, going a few days or a couple weeks, you could be around people every day, but it's a personal retreat within yourself. And so when you're left there sitting with your thoughts, you're left there sitting with your traumas, you're left there sitting with all of the stuff that you have never dealt with. And now it's going to come up because the job it's trying to do is to make you give it what it needs in order to satisfy the chemical reaction in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all a biological thing, right? Biochemistry. And so while you're in that phase, there's two things that I've coached people to do. Is to one, to either deal with what's coming up because this is your opportunity. This is the opportunity. It wouldn't be coming up unless you needed to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And you could deal with it in a couple of ways. One way, you could deal with it with a person, if it's a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some situations where you can't deal with that person, right? Either they passed on, or it's just too toxic,
Mm-hmm.
or you just can't go there.
Yeah.
And so in those situations, you have to deal with it within yourself, and you have to really seek forgiveness from yourself for dealing with certain things in your life and tolerating
Mm-hmm.
certain things in your
Yeah.
life. And that's a super powerful thing. And once that happens, it unleashes you to the third stage, which is the spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
At this place, this is when people talk about fasting, they're like, man, I feel like I was on cloud nine. I had so much clarity. I had so much understanding. I was getting downloads that I had never had before.
Mm-hmm.
And I normally find that the closer you get to about 10 days, 2
Mm-hmm.
weeks, like that 10-day mark is like a special period. Once you get closer to that and beyond that, you start having this level of clarity and connection and downloads. You could have been seeking out some answers for situations or problems or plans that seemed like they were out there or far-fetched, or you just couldn't put connect the dots, and all of a sudden the dots start to connect, the pieces start to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you have those downloads. So that's the third level.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about fasting and all of the benefits that come along with it, are there some people who should not do like a water fast, for example?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like fasting, of course, I think a level of fasting is for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you have something like low blood sugar or diabetes, and so we want to pay attention to those things. And so I would normally coach a person who has some type of medical situation where they take medication to go through a liquid fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a protocol that we put together just for fruits and vegetables, mainly vegetables like soups, smoothies, and juices, right? Because those things are going to help detoxify the body at a great level as well, while also drinking about a gallon of water a day, right? So we'll start there with someone that's going through those type of medical things. And then as their situation improves, then we'll start to convert more over to doing like a more intermittent style of fasting, where we'll go a certain period of days. Now, this could be a series when we go through this juice and smoothie, like this liquid fast. This could be a series of weeks. It could be a series of months, and all of a sudden their situation is improving and improving. And before you know it, they're like, okay, the doctor said this, I don't have to take this medication anymore. And then we'll switch over to, okay, so we're going to do this intermittent fasting. This is going to be our protocol for this. Or we'll go to alternate day fasting, right? So if they're training with me and working out with me, we're putting together their training regimen. We'll put together a regimen. So this has been the most, I would say, as far as like fitness is concerned, because a lot of people come to me with fasting and wanted to put the fitness together with it. To have a program where a person has a solid workout in the beginning of their week, they go through a fast, like a water fast, once their body is ready for that level, and then they go back to refeed and then come back to their training regimen for the rest of the week. I mean, the best experiences from fasting and fitness comes from my personal experience, that alternate day fasting with your fitness.
And I saw, because you own a gym, and I saw one of your clients, I think his name was Cody, and he was like 500 pounds, and he was dealing with some health challenges, and he started off on Ozempic, and I think he lost like 80 pounds and then plateaued. And then he started working with you. And what happened with him when he started working with you?
Absolutely. So that Cody started to drop weight all over again. So we started hearing. So this was in the beginning when we first started hearing about the craze of Ozempic and, you know, all of the other weight loss drugs that were out there. And you would hear about everybody saying, I lost weight, but then I hit this plateau and I couldn't break through the plateau. So Cody was plateaued out after dropping about 80 pounds. He was plateaued out for about 3 to 4 months. And so this was in the process of me. This is before I met Cody, and I met Cody through his sister. So she said, hey, I heard about this guy, Tommy. I think you should talk with him, not just on the fitness side, but on this fasting thing. And so we met up, we put a protocol together, and a lot of people are intimidated, to say the least, by, you know, not eating at all, right? Because we've been conditioned. Like food runs our life if we don't understand, right? And so, you know, you wake up, you're thinking about what you're going to have for breakfast. You go to work or, you know, go to your, like me, go to your business. You're thinking about what you're going to do for lunch. Before lunch is over, you're already thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, picking something up for the kids on the way, right? So it runs a lot of our mental and emotional life. So helping Cody and people like Cody that I work with just rethink how powerful those thoughts are, how much time you're going to have, how much thought energy you're going to have, and then to start to think about things that you could use in that time. We call it purpose projects. What projects have you been putting off, kind of procrastinating on, because you're going to have all this extra time. And if you don't use that extra time, what's going to happen is you're going to start obsessing about food, obsessing about things. So that's also happens in the process too. It's trying to make you break your fast, right? So we started to work on a mindset with Cody, helping him prep with my whole fasting protocol. And then we started to put a 5-day fast in place. So I started everybody off on a 3 to 5 day program where we go 3 to 5 days water fasting. If you can handle 3 days, you feel like you could go an extra day, we go an extra day. You feel like you can handle 5, then we go to about 5. 5 as of late is normally where I stop people if it's their first fast. Reason being is normally about that 4th day is when the body kind of like mostly switches over energy sources from glycogen breakdown of food to now using mostly ketone bodies from stored body fat, right? And so now the energy is not at a high level, but just at a balanced level. And so now that the energy is there, what's going to happen is, if it hadn't happened before, you're going to have what's called, what I call a detox dump. If you hadn't had like hadn't gone to the bathroom, or maybe you've had a regular bathroom visit and you hadn't had a bathroom visit, like going number 2 in the bathroom for a couple of days, what's happening is your body is literally collecting and breaking down damaged and diseased cells and collecting all that stuff. It's collecting mucus and inflammation and toxins and all the stuff that's not supposed to be in our bodies, that's foreign to our bodies, that's making our bodies sick and ill and ache and be in pain and not lose the weight, when you're living a healthy lifestyle. All of those things, the body's collecting those things over a series of days. And then once you get to that certain day, what's going to happen is it's going to be a bathroom visit, but it's like an emergency, right? And you go to the bathroom and it's a detox dump. Literally, all the things that your body has accumulated over those series of days, it releases and eliminates, right? And if you're not paying attention to it, like you think, oh man, that was interesting, because it's very liquidy, it's very slimy, because all that stuff comes out of your body. But if you're not paying attention to it, it's easy to think, man, that was just an interesting bathroom visit. But most people, after we, go through and they share that with me that they had it, they're like, man, how did your body feel? Well, I didn't really think about it. They're like, oh, come to think, man, my elbow doesn't hurt like it was. My knees hasn't been popping like they were. My hips are not hurting. My back is not hurting like it was, right? So a lot of times we think those things are either skeletal situations or muscular situations, but they're a lot of times it's just inflammation trapped inside of the tissues.
Yeah,
that needs to be released. Dick Gregory said it best, man. He said in one interview, somebody was interviewing him, And he said, man, listen, when you fast, you don't lose fat, you lose impurities, right? And so the body's breaking down all of those impurities and now getting ready to release them effectively, probably for most people for the first time in their lives.
What do you wish more people knew about fasting?
You know, when I first started putting out like content on fasting, people, especially in my world, like I'm a larger human. Like I still sit right now at 330, 340 pounds. And I'm coming down because I'm recently retired from strength sports, but because I was always competing, I'd always put back on the mass, right? Not fat mass, but strength mass, muscle mass. So I'm coming down now slowly, right? But when I first started putting out fasting content, people used to always say things like, man, you're going to mess up all your gains. You're not going to be as strong. You're going to mess up your metabolism, right? This probably over a decade ago now, right? I've been in my fasting practice almost 15 years. But now, you know, the world talks about fasting. You know, it's very popular for people to hear about it and the different mixes of fasting. But I wish people understood that it can be a common theme, like it could be a part of your wellness and health practice. Like every day, you know, and a lot of people hit me up on different platforms or the platforms themselves when I'm talking about it. And they say, well, this is dangerous because, of course, you have people that are, you know, anorexic and they deal with different disorders, right?
Right.
But these are mental disorders. They're not physical disorders, right? But for the average person that's not dealing with that, this could be a everyday, or not even every day, like the intermittent fasting, yes, but this like water fasting could be something that you do routinely that resets your entire system so that you don't have to deal with the medications and the pain that you're in and the mental fog and so forth and so on, right? Like I'm exploring this new thing this year. Like this will be my 15th year in the practice of fasting. And I used to say that you only want to do a couple a year, like, you know, about 5 to 12 days or one really long one a year. I'm testing something out that I've never done before, and I'm doing it. So I was talking to a mentor, and he was talking about all of the craze has been from a biblical standpoint this year, King Solomon's business plan, right? And he was talking about how King Solomon, all the things he did after this blessing that God had gave him. But I started paying attention to something that he did before this blessing came and he had this experience with God. And that was King Solomon made over 1,000 sacrifices to God on the altar. So you have to imagine at this time, so all of the kings, like in all of these high priests, they're making sacrifices, but of course there's a bare minimum. And many people was just doing the bare minimum. But King Solomon, he loved God so much that he said, I'm just going to give all. And he did 1,000 sacrifices, right? Now I said, man, what is a sacrifice? Well, a sacrifice is a burnt offering. And it means that if you burn the offering, you can't take it back, right? You can't take it back.
Right.
So if this is something that you have to give up and you can't take it back, I said, well, what can that be in our lives? Well, that's our time. And then it brought me back to fasting. So what is a sacrifice for us in this day? Oh, it's the amount of time that we could fast. Well, we can't do 1,000 days because that's, you know, that'd be years, right? So it brought me back to 1,000 hours. I said, wow, 1,000 hours. What would that be? That would be just over around 42 days of fasting. And that's my dream fast, is to do a 40-day fast eventually in my life, right? There's 40 significant spiritual significance for the number 40.
Yeah.
Right. But I said, man, even if I don't do it 40 days in a row, I could do 1,000 hours. And so I've been practicing this thing, what I'm calling, you know, the fasting model from King Solomon's sacrifices this year, where I do 4 days a month. And you could break that up once a week. You could do 2 weekends, in a month, or you could, however you do it, right? So I've done 4 days a month consistently this year. I've maintained my muscle mass, maintained my strength, maintained everything, but it's been on another level. And I've never done 1,000 hours in 1 year. So I'm excited to I'll hit my 1,000 hours in November before the year's up, but I'm excited to get there. But it's been the results that's come out of this has been interesting too, because remember I said that when people start seeking out fasting, normally seeking out for breakthrough, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Well, this year I've experienced more breakthroughs in my business life than I ever had any. In fact, I think one of the reasons that we're having the conversation is because it's a result of the practice that I've been going through with this fasting practice over this year. So it's been pretty interesting, man. But I can't wait to share the results of like a full year of doing this thing.
Man, that's why your book title is so apropos, because fasting is a superpower. It really is.
Yeah, buddy.
And I think enough of us aren't even aware of it, not even aware of it. And sometimes we're looking at it just from the physical standpoint, just trying to lose weight, but all of the other benefits can be so much more profound, can be so much more profound. Now, Big Tommy, I know folks are going to want to work with you, get in contact with you. Tell them how they can do that.
Man, absolutely. Everything you need to find on me is at Big Tommy Burns in the social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Big Tommy Burns on YouTube as well. But yeah, everything's Big Tommy Burns. You actually want to check out the book, go to bigtommyburns.com, and you could actually check out the book there as well.
And before we go, somebody may be thinking about fastings, don't know what to do, reluctant. Give them a word of inspiration before we go.
Absolutely. If you feel like you are being called to fast right now, like you it's not even a call to fast, it's a call to break through in your life. Like you feel like you are kind of stuck and stagnant. It's kind of like you've had flow in your life before and you're clogged up and you're trying to break through, but you can't really break through. And now, instead of just one area of life being clogged up, there's multiple areas of life clogging up. And you feel like you're needing something that's going to help you not just break through and break away, but break beyond where you've been. And that is a fast calling you right now. And so if you're looking to break through in your life and, break away from all of that stuck and being clogged up, fasting is probably calling you right now.
Man, that's good. Man, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You're going to help a lot of people get their breakthrough, man. Thank you so much, Big Tommy. I really appreciate you.
On, brother. Absolutely.